Hey everybody, in this video we are taking a look at the Aged One's Exultation Talisman. This is a new item in Shadow of the Erdtree, and as you can see from the description, it increases your attack power when madness is in the vicinity. So, pretty interesting talisman, and it's not the most straightforward to get, so first off we'll go through the location and what you need to do to get it. And then there's also some ways that you can produce madness yourself to kind of turn on this effect whenever you need it, so we'll talk about that. And then finally just do a little bit of damage testing to see what the actual impact of this item is. So starting off, this item is located in the Abyssal Woods area, which is where we're at currently. Getting here by itself is a little bit convoluted, so first off I'll just kind of give a couple landmarks and a little bit of guidance on how to get here if you're not familiar. The starting point is going to be Shadow Keep, so you'll basically have to be at least at this point in the game in order to get there. We're at the main gate plaza side of Grace, so if you have that, go ahead and travel there, and then from there we're going to want to go outside and head up this ramp. Once at the top, there is going to be a ladder over here on the left, which is a little bit hidden if you're not looking for it, but this is going to take us down, which will lead to the pathway where we need to go here. And then at the bottom, you can go through this waterfall, and there's another ladder taking us even further down. Once at the bottom of that ladder, there's going to be a couple rooms that you run through. Eventually, you'll get to this dead end with a coffin. You'll get a prompt to rest in it, and that is going to have a cutscene where you drop down to the bottom level. This will then open up into a new area with a lake, and there's another side of Grace here. So this is the Castle Watering Hole side of Grace, and you've got the ruins of Unte here, if I'm saying that correctly. But essentially after this point, you kind of have to just make your way through here. A couple other sites of Grace you can grab, go through this region, and then eventually you will get to these dark light catacombs. Complete the catacombs. There's a boss fight at the end. Once you get the boss fight, that'll open up access to this area in the Abyssal Woods. So once you're in the area, what you need to do to get this talisman is defeat an enemy called an Aging Untouchable, and hence the name. They are untouchable. You can't do any damage to them. That is also alluded to in some of these notes here that you'll run across where it says combat is not an option. There's a couple other of these, but you'll find out if you go and swing your sword at them. That's very true. You can't do any damage. And the trick to defeating them, which eventually you find out through a note or a diary page, this torn diary page, you can see it says, when he thrust his staff in my face, I brushed it aside. That is alluding to parrying, so you need to first parry his attack, then that will make him vulnerable to damage. So if you want the note or you are curious, that is found in the Midra's Manse location here. So there's a room that you'll run into, and then in one of those rooms there's an item pickup where it gives you that note, which lets you know how you defeat these enemies. In terms of where the Aging Untouchable enemy actually is, so he's located in a couple different spots. The one we want is where I'm at currently, or nearby. So if you have this church ruin side of Grace, you can take that to where we are. That will lead to these signs that we just looked at, and then he's going to be just up a little bit further from that. So there he is. You can see him off in the distance with that glowing head. He's kind of wandering back and forth. So I'm pretty sure this is the specific one you have to kill. This is where we're at. The reason I say that is I killed one like over here somewhere and I didn't get the talisman. Then I came over here and killed this one and that gave me the talisman. So I think it's specific to this particular guy. Uh-oh, here he comes. But essentially he'll come attack you. You'll need to do a parry and then defeat him, and you'll get the talisman as a reward. Alright, so now that we have the item, taking a look at some use cases and some damage impact testing. So starting off, kind of stating the obvious, this talisman isn't very useful unless there's madness in the area, which doesn't happen very often naturally. So if you just sort of have this equipped, you're not really going to get any use out of it at all. We can, however, give ourselves madness to kind of control when we have this buff active. So you see I have the Howl of Shabriri incantation currently equipped in the bottom left of the screen there. So this requires 33 faith to use, and we can use that to give ourselves madness. So if we take a look at our status currently, we've got 1242 attack power up in the top right there. And if we use that incantation once and get a little bit of madness build up, that's going to increase that to 1552 as you saw there. But if we keep going and run this a couple more times, it's going to take 3 or 4 tries here probably, and get full madness, that's going to give the full impact of the talisman. So I think here we should have full madness now. And we take a look at our status, and that gives us 1863 attack power. So pretty nice enhancement to attack power. This is going to last about 30 seconds, and then it'll drop back down to that first level at 1500, whatever it was, and that'll give you about another 8 seconds. So all in total about 38 seconds of a damage buff here. So a couple seconds have passed by here. It should be dropping here. There it goes. So now we're down to 1552. And then about 8 seconds, we'll see here, it'll drop down to our original attack power, which is 1242. Another thing to call out is focus resistance. So if we look over at our stats here, explanation, down on the bottom right, we've got our resistances. You can see focus is your resistance to sleep and bouts of madness. So the higher that is, the higher your resistance to madness is going to be. So as you saw, it took me about 4 tries of that Howl of Shabriri incantation to get to full-blown madness. So that is going to be dependent on how high your focus is. So if you lower your focus, if you wanted to, that would limit the amount of times you need to use the incantation to get to that full madness effect. Now taking a look at some actual damage numbers. So I'm going to be testing this with my Claymore doing a single-handed strong attack. So starting off, just sort of regular, we do 905, and then we'll get a little bit of madness here. So now we're at 1586 with that first step. That gets us 1132. And now we'll go up to the full madness to get the full impact of the talisman. Make sure we got, so we're at 1904 now. And that gets us up to 1358. So almost like a 50% impact to the damage there, which is a pretty crazy buff. All right, so wrapping things up, that was a quick overview and rundown of the new Aged Ones Exultation Talisman. Overall, pretty unique talisman. It does have its limitations, obviously, that you have to use madness, but if you're willing to go through and get the buff active, as you saw, it has a pretty powerful impact to your damage that you can do with almost a 50% buff if you get all the way up to full madness. So definitely something that might be fun to throw into a build and sort of stack on top of other damage multipliers as well, and I think you probably get some pretty good results with that. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.